Okay, welcome to the July 19th meeting of the Kennebunkport Planning Board. We have attendance. George Lichty, alternate, doesn't seem to be here, but I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up. But anyway, we have everyone else. How about the minutes? Any?
I thought they were good.
So did I.
Move to accept.
I
Yeah, they were
second.
fine.
Yeah. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Ed,
Yes.
Approve.
approve.
Approve. Approve.
Okay. Good. Well, the first item is to item 230502, 77 Pier Road, and Chairman Lucarelli.
How are you?
Very good.
Good.
Very good. That might take over everyone here.
We did.
Yep, thank you.
So, no, okay. We showing now the, what is it, the 51 parking spot, which the other 7, what I estimate is having the valet parking attendant, you know. So I can double park inside because we do our own parking, inside. It's no customer going in and out. We have our own valet parking, so he can park here. But in the drawings, you have 51 parking spots, and David did the calculation, and as it's showing the calculation, is plenty of parking spot for the seats that we have.
Yeah.
Plus, we showing the employee parking. And regarding the concern about our neighbors, the way out of the 77 Pier Road, what I was trying to recommend here is to install no parking in this side of the street signs.
Oh.
So the people who does, hopefully they don't do anymore.
Yeah, that's
And for the emergency vehicles, ambulance.
yeah. As far as we're concerned, that's obviously the business of the selectmen, not us. But so anyway, we have the number of spaces. I guess Ed, you've been handling this.
Yeah, so I think 51 is your drawing, the updated drawing says, sufficient to cover the seating
Correct.
that you have for the 2 existing restaurants, and it doesn't allow any spare for any additional vehicles that may come just for the truck. So I think we're back to where we started, which was to say, I think we'd be fine with adding the truck as long as you restrict its operation to those hours when at least one of the other restaurants is not operating.
Yeah.
So then it will share, some of the spaces that are some of the 51.
Correct. That's what in the parking calculation we put the Casa 77, the Ultramar hours, which even is still showing there's plenty of parking spots.
Yeah, I thought maybe I read it wrong on the computer screen, but I thought with the seating from Altamar and the other, there was enough to cover with room to spare.
No, there's 51 required and 51 available for the employees and the, and one space for every 3 seats.
Yeah, I think it's a 43 the calculation
For the seating,
for the seating,
and then 15 for the employees.
plus the 5 and 2 7
Well, I
for the
thought-
employees.
For the employees, it was one for every 2,
Correct.
and there was 15 employees,
Yeah, so there's 7 seats.
7,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
7 parking spots.
Right. Well, I thought it was 8, but,
Or 8, okay.
yeah, so it came out to 51 anyway, plus the 43, plus 8 was 51. 50 and a half, 51. So he's covered, but there's no extras. There was extras last week when we
We had-
thought there were 58.
Right.
In fact, I even wrote a draft findings that said, yeah, the 7 seems to be enough to cover the, whatever increase in traffic there is for the food truck, so.
Yeah.
I think the hours of operation are such that it's not a hardship, but I think that we'd be remiss in not acknowledging the fact that the food truck is gonna generate some people coming in vehicles that weren't gonna come to either of the restaurants. So if they're there at the same time as the restaurants are occupying all the 51 parking spaces, they're gonna go park where they shouldn't. Are you all right with us writing this to say that you can have the food truck as long as it's operating when at least one of the other restaurants is not operating?
The neighbor asked me to open late, correct? But it doesn't affect anything about what we're talking right now.
No.
But I agree with that, because they say that maybe 7 a.m. was too early. And this is between me and the neighbors, it's fine.
That's what I think. I think you got people there, you got fishermen there who may appreciate. I think they weren't interested in having truck traffic
Yeah.
at 7 in the morning or noise, but
Yeah.
if people who are already there are now gonna be
They're
able to
already
buy
there
a
at 5
coffee,
a.m., 4 a.m., so
I
it's
don't
nothing
see
I
how
can
that's-
do about that. Yeah.
I didn't hear an argument that swayed me on that,
Mm-hmm.
other than concern for truck traffic, and that did seem like a legitimate, but pre-existing concern.
So what you're suggesting, if reading the hours operation will be like taking a break in the afternoon when overlap?
I'm not following.
If it's 11:30 to 7 and the other one open, now in summer 4:30, but in winter will be like, 5.
No, hold on, maybe I'm overcomplicating it.
Okay.
One of the restaurants doesn't open until 5, let's say?
4:35, yeah.
As long as the truck is closed by 5 and he opens at 5, I don't see any
And-
problem.
Correct, but when I close the other one, I can reopen it. Because the one downstairs closed early,
As long as only 2 out of 3 are
Okay,
running.
okay.
That's the way I would try to
And we
write
take a
it.
break in the afternoon and,
As long as the demand for parking doesn't exceed the capacity,
correct.
that's the one regulation that you're flirting with here. And I think that's the way around it.
My understanding was that you were going to open the trailer only during the day. Are you thinking now of opening the trailer during the evening hours?
I was thinking if I open late, because my neighbors say not to don't bring more noise or whatever it is, I'm okay with that. But I was trying to deal if I can recover that hours of operation in the afternoon. If it between 4:35 to 7 overlap, well, we will take a break then and we will reopen after. So one of the restaurants is open with the trailer, which is plenty of space if it's the night shift like Ultramar. 51 cars is like plenty. Right now, I've been checking the whole week, and we have plenty parking space. It's
Yeah.
nothing about the restaurant right now. Yes, it is about the people who they don't eat to the restaurant, which is a free parking, and they park on the side of the street, even in the side out. That is the problem. I see that problem.
Yeah, I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with the restaurant hours. Initially, it was thought that you were going to open the trailer in the morning, mostly for fishermen who wanted some breakfast or something like that. And then you've got your other restaurant that opens late morning or
Yes,
so.
correct.
But when your restaurant for the evening opens, they cost us 77, I think it is.
Slow down.
Yeah, that's when the trailer needs to probably stop operation.
Okay.
If you're going to open the trailer again in the
I have to
evening,
close the other one.
yeah.
Okay.
And I
Fair
think, because trying to stipulate hours is kind of
It's very
crazy.
Yeah.
So just say you
Two or
have
three.
3, you
Yep.
can run 2.
Two.
Yeah.
However, however you decide to run your business.
Correct,
If you
correct.
do it that
Okay.
way,
Yeah,
And you get
then
enough
we're
parking.
good, yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have enough parking and it's regardless of the hours of, that either, or any of the ones are open.
I'd like to keep it that simple.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
very simple.
sounds good.
okay,
Okay,
You okay with that?
yeah, I'm okay with it.
all right. So I think our last act was to continue the public hearing, so I'm gonna have to reopen the public hearing,
Right.
Yep.
so. Anybody raising hands about public hearing or anything?
No hands raised on Zoom.
No hands raised. Anyone here want to? Okay. Well, then I'm going to close the public hearing. And
So Tom, I know I distributed
so you're going
a
to,
draft findings of fact to the group when I anticipated that you were going to show me 58 spaces. I was thinking that you might, when I saw the 51 come out yesterday, I thought maybe we're reverting back. I didn't want to be presumptuous, but I did create a findings that captures the agreement that you just made.
Okay.
If you guys would be okay with me reading that, it's exactly the same as the one you reviewed, except for that one change. I added it as a condition, and I put the explanation of it in the
you
findings.
took out the place where it said
I changed
there were
it.
7 extras.
Yeah,
I
there's
have
no
problem,
extras.
but we have to approve the application first.
Yes,
Okay,
Then you can read it.
so
okay.
take a motion.
I would move to approve the application as, with the condition agreed to.
I'll second that.
Okay, so take the vote.
Approve.
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 Okay, thank you. At the end of the meeting, we're going to probably read the findings of fact, which you can get a copy of it from our friend Michelle, probably tomorrow if you need. It ultimately has to get registered with the Registry of Deeds.
That's right.
If you really want to hang around and wait for us to
Yeah,
read
sure,
it,
sure.
you could, but there's no reason to.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
all right, which brings us to item 230601, 845 Kings Highway, and that's Mr. Peterson.
Hello.
Evening.
Okay, and this is a public hearing, again.
Yes.
This is the, moving the garage.
My garage, I don't have a needle.
Moving the garage without touching the sewer line.
Oh, no.
Go right over mine. Just use the board and everything. Just clip right over. Use my clips and all. No worries.
I have a thing. I have a
Your way.
Thank you.
It's the home team. Use the home stuff. Stay out of the way.
Good try, though. Good try.
No
Good
good
effort.
deed.
Good effort.
Okay, so 845 Kings Highway, we have an existing garage that is on a wooden foundation. And we are proposing to replace the building with a new garage that's the same footprint as the old garage on a new poured concrete frost wall foundation with a slab. We also are proposing to do less than 30% upward expansion of area and volume, a 28.9% area expansion and a 27.4% volume expansion. We're also proposing to move it 2 feet to the east, so it gets it more conforming or less non-conforming. And I think last time I explained how that 2-foot dimension came to be. There's a buried sewer line right off the building, so we moved it as many feet as the builder told us he needed to be able to do his work without disturbing that sewer line.
Right.
And there's also a parking space out on the street that we're trying to avoid. So we've got our 2 parking spaces, one in the garage and one alongside it, just like it is now. Yeah, I think that's about it as far as the technical details. If I can answer any questions about some granular information.
So
Happy to.
Larry, I think you,
So, thank you for that. So I did have a couple of comments. I did write a finding of facts, and I sort of jumped ahead. So, you know, on the issue of artificial fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides, and provisions to eliminate bird strikes, would the owner agree to restrict or eliminate the artificial fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides, and include provisions to eliminate bird strikes? Can you speak on behalf of the owner for that?
I should see this one coming about the pesticides every time, I know. I suppose. I mean, there's very little grass on this site,
Yeah.
honestly, so I don't think, it's not a heavily manicured site right now. So I think they
Okay.
probably really would be open to that. And then we'll have screening on the windows and doors.
Okay, so I've written the finding of facts to say that you agree with all of that and you do it.
I think that's safe.
Then on drawing, this one here, I don't know, it's unnumbered, but it's the first one that shows the site plan. In fact, it's that one there. There's a note in the upper left-hand corner that refers to proposed as 200 square feet of open deck, but that seems to be referred to something other than the garage.
Yeah, that's part of the house part of the project. That doesn't apply to this application.
Okay, that's what I thought, so I just want clarification on that.
Yeah, we're only talking about just this portion of the site right here.
Okay, so does that mean you're gonna have another application for the house changes?
That was a DEP.
That was-
a DEP permit.
Oh.
That's already under construction.
Oh, I got you, okay, all right, okay. That's really all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, anything?
Nope. That's good.
Scott? I got none.
Yeah, question for Larry. I think I read the draft findings to say that the owner agreed to minimize the use of pesticides and fertilizers, not.
Yeah. Minimize.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine.
That's very fair, sure.
Yeah,
I don't think we have a way of enforcing,
right.
Werner said he's willing to do that enforcement.
it's his retirement job.
That's his retirement.
Good luck with that.
Not yet, you're not even close.
Okay, well, this isn't a public hearing, so I'm once again going to, at this point, open up a public hearing. Anyone here wishes to be heard? Any raised hands?
No raised hands.
No raised hands.
Jeez,
Well,
no interest, huh?
no, uninteresting. It's kind of cool, but.
No, it's
you know,
kind of neat, yes, yes.
I
good.
like it.
I like it, yeah.
So, if you want to make a motion?
So I move to approve the application.
I'll second it.
Okay, well, usual. Ed,
Yes.
Approve.
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 Okay.
Thank you,
So-
appreciate it. And then you'll do the findings next week or at the end
No,
of
we're
this
gonna
meeting?
do it today.
Probably
It's
do it
ready.
today.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty.
I don't need your clips. Do you want my clips? No, I'm good. I'm good. I have clips.
All right, so. This is item 230603, 47 Long and Winding Road. This is the initial review of the final plan. So,
That's correct.
would you proceed, Jim?
Thank you, board members. I appreciate your attention tonight. Again, I'm Jim Logan, soil scientist, wetland scientist, and site evaluator with Longview Partners, working with Sarah Smith and Margot, her daughter, hoping to get final approval for this single lot split, a redivision of what was lot number 3 in an old Trumbull subdivision of 1984, I believe it is. So we were back to you with enough details and passed muster in the preliminary plan phase. We had a public hearing for that. We also provided the fire chief sign-off. We provided a few other details that the board asked and requested. And during that public hearing, during the preliminary plan phase, we heard no objections from the public We were asking for an expedited review to get to this stage. Obviously, Sarah would hope to get her approval just as quickly as possible to get underway with the builder. Sarah is hoping to build the new house while Margot is going to stay in the old family home by the sounds of it. So that's the hope. If there's any technical questions that the board may have at this time, really nothing has changed since the preliminary plan approval. And I think we hit all of the required points for that final plan submission. We had a brief conversation about the possible need for a second public hearing. This is initial review. Again, I was asking hopefully to get an approval just as quickly as possible. I don't know if that's possible. I do note here on this agenda that this is considered an initial review of the final plan.
Yes.
So I'll leave it up to the board as to how we may proceed tonight, but I know Sarah was coming tonight hoping to get a final approval tonight.
Okay, so, Scott, this is your baby. Do you have you read the new one and have any issues with the new one?
So, in your letter, you're still pursuing the confirmation of the fire chief?
No,
it's in there.
we got all
is
of
it?
that. That was all taken care of. As a matter of fact, the submissions in the
file submission.
packet
yes.
include both the fire chief's first response, which had to do with the configuration of the driveway access, which was going to be sufficient for the turnaround. A second follow-up letter spoke to the fire pond that the board made further request of information regarding. I think the fire chief made it pretty clear that the location of a fire pond is not really germane to a subdivision review, but for your benefit, you wanted the weigh in. We went ahead and got that. I guess I would also add that during that preliminary plan phase of the review, we asked for 4 official waivers of the process due to the small size of this proposal. I think the board was in agreement. You issued a letter back to us granting those 4 official waiver requests.
Yep.
I don't know whether that's part of this next process to reevaluate or not. But again, you did sign off on those 4 specific waiver requests that we made. I believe it was hydrogeo, traffic, high-intensity soil survey, and the 4th might have been,
Length of drive?
I think it was the stormwater analysis. I got to go back to my waiver requests.
Yeah, that's what it says here.
Yes. There it is. Stormwater was the other item. The new application also had a brief graphic that included some water well data suggesting that there's adequate water in the neighborhood to drill a well.
Okay. So, do we have any other comments on this before?
Let me do one more, if I could, Jim. So the property is described as 4.89 acres for one lot with 2 residential units?
No,
one?
no, that's one lot with 1 unit on it, and the new lot is just barely 3 acres of net residential acreage. There is a table we included. Let me find it in the ordinance, in our application. Attachment 8. If you look at attachment 8 in your final application, that talks about the remaining land of lot 3, which is the home lot. That has gross lot area of 11.575, wetland area 3.7. Net lot area on that lot is 7.79, and 3 is required. The proposed new lot, 3-1, total area 4.891, that's the one you're referring to, minus its wetland area, which is 1.841 acres, gives us a net of 3.05. So the new lot complies with the net residential density requirements in subdivisions or in any lot in this zone. And the subdivision plan demonstrates that compliance because each lot is called out on the subdivision plan.
Okay,
Does that answer your question, Scott?
it does. So I'm looking at, because there's 3. I'm still at preliminary subdivision application.
No, no,
the wrong
we're in
book.
But
final.
there was one before this.
Yeah, that was sketch plan. There was three
Sketch plan.
applications.
That's
This is
three.
This is the real one.
The final one is the one you should be looking at. It's a modestly different application.
Number of lots or units,
Oh,
two.
right.
Right, there's one existing and there's one proposed.
One new lot.
So the application is intending to recognize both dwelling, or both lots in the end. Both the pre-existing one, which is now going to be a different acreage with the same existing home, and the new lot, which will get a new home, and it's just 3.05 net acres. Follow?
So, no, my original is the properties described as, we'll say, 3.05,
That's the new one. Like,
yes,
That's the new lot,
Yep.
correct?
for one lot.
That's correct. One new dwelling, or the creation of one new conforming lot. But we needed to leave enough upland in the original remaining lot with the existing home to have that comply as well. That's why we provide two sets of calculations.
Okay, so, under general information, number of lots, one,
One new lot,
or units,
we end up with 2 units if you're gonna count the existing dwelling. It really depends on how the board wants to read that part of the application.
I'm just wondering how to put it in here,
One existing home, one new home on one new lot,
with one lot and one new home.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And to clarify for the board, and it helped me, for you guys, this was a distinction between major amendment and minor amendment to the subdivision. I bring this only because I have a minor amendment I'm bringing to you shortly, which will truly be a minor one, resulting in no additional units or lots, but just merely an exchange of land. Okay? That's the
Okay.
reason for that point.
All right,
So,
I'm girding my future.
So this will stay as a major subdivision.
right, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
good.
major because it results in an additional dwelling unit or lot, or both in this case. It was a condo project and it wasn't a new lot, but it was a new unit, it would still be a major change.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Scott.
Anyone else, any issues with this?
no, thank
Okay.
you.
So the only question, the last time we were here, we had a public hearing with no responses whatsoever, and you've changed nothing. So the question is, do we wish to waive doing the second public hearing?
I think we were sort of planning to waive the second
So
public
I
hearing.
think the answer is we're going to approve it, and there will be an FOF next time.
Okay, that would be great. I have blank copies of the subdivision map that were not folded, and I would leave them safely with Warner to be signed, because the Registry of Deeds will not accept folded copies. Okay?
Okay.
So we'll have to go over.
I know, it's,
Okay,
Sign them.
you have to
Can I-
have
can I
one
ask-
get kicked back from the registry to
Can I
realize
ask a
this stuff.
clarification? Have the abutters been notified, or are they only notified in the event a public hearing is scheduled? Have they been notified of this final application, I'm asking?
Yeah, yes. That was part of the requirements, the mailings.
Thank you.
I don't know why you don't have it, but. Yeah. Okay, so I will take a motion on this
So,
this final subdivision for approval.
so I move to approve the application with the waivers as submitted.
Yeah, with the waivers as submitted.
Okay,
good.
that's my motion.
I'll second it. Ed?
Approve.
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 Approved.
Approve.
Okay, so FOF next time,
I appreciate everything you've done.
and,
All right,
you know, you can get the
Thank you so kindly.
signatures and such.
I'll look forward to the next meeting.
thank you.
All right. Well, that brings us to the final item, other than reading findings of fact. And that is, it is item 230602, Old Cape Road and Roberts Lane. And this is a sketch plan.
Good evening. My name is Austin Fagan. I'm here with BH2M representing Mazoin Development LLC. The proposed project is a subdivision for a lot split from an existing 2.9 acre parcel at the corner of Old Cape Road and Roberts Lane. The project qualifies for subdivision review since a lot was also split from the original parcel last year. This parcel is what's shown as the outsale lot on the plan that we provided. The parcel to be split is currently wooded and will have frontage on both Old Cape Road and Roberts Lane. The applicant intends to put the driveway off of Old Cape Road if site distances will allow it, but that is the intent at this time. No new roadway infrastructure or any additional infrastructure other than private utilities will be required for the project. It's relatively straightforward, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has at this time. Thanks.
Okay, so the thing I'm looking at says plan boundary survey. There's a thing called remaining land and a thing called proposed conveyance.
So the plan that you're looking at is a recorded plan from what is existing today. The second plan from BH2M should be the current sketch plan.
All right. Okay.
So as you can see on this, we have this right here was the entirety of the previous lot. The outsale is what is shown as proposed on the plan you're referencing.
Right, so the outsale lot is not relevant to this.
Exactly. And remaining land of Pamela G. Hutchins will be what is left. Lot 1 is what we're proposing for a lot.
Okay. So it'll have a driveway off, also off of Old Cape.
That is the intent if possible.
If both of them have a driveway off of Old Cape Road, are you planning to have a traffic survey there, or a traffic officer look at the distance between the driveways and sight lines?
So typically what we would do, I haven't dove too deep into the ordinance yet, but as long as we would meet the driveway spacing distance, which most towns have a requirement on that, and meet the site distance, if you would require a traffic study, that's something we could look into. But as long as we met those requirements, we would hope that it would meet the board's preference.
But have you looked at whether it would meet those requirements?
I have not yet, no.
Okay.
We haven't done, so the survey that we have right now for the sketch plan is a recreation of what you saw from the recorded plan. So our surveyors will be going on site just to verify everything, and at that time we'll shoot site distances in multiple locations just to see what we have available in order to meet the town's requirements.
Okay.
Okay. Just to remind you of what Jim Logan just went through, this is a major subdivision.
Yep.
So you have to submit it 2 more times.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And because it's a new subdivision, I believe you have to meet all the requirements in the subdivision regs as of today. So you need to go through that list.
Yep.
And indicate what's applicable and what's not applicable, and what changes you're making that are applicable.
Absolutely, yeah. So we intended for, since this is just a sketch plan, to more or less get all of the potential issues you might see out of the way early on. When we make the preliminary submission, we'll have all of the information that you're looking for. Haven't done a ton of work in Kennebunkport, but with all the other towns we work for, we have a pretty standard procedure on giving you everything that you look for more or less in the preliminary application, so that the final application is more or less just a finishing of the fine
As was
changes
the
to
one
the
you
plan.
just saw, yes.
Good to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, have any questions or comments on this sketch plan?
I guess when you come in with the preliminary plan, you'll have all the wetlands delineated and turtle hatching areas and all that site investigation. That'll be very useful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you anticipate any vernal pools or?
We do not at this time. So the plan that you see from Corner Post, I believe it was the first plan that was referenced, That does have a wetland delineation from, I believe, Mark Hampton Associates on it. There were none on the proposed parcel. A vernal pool assessment has not been completed to the best of my knowledge, but I'll have to look into that. If the wetland does not meet the criteria of a vernal pool, which would be no inlets or outlets or anything of that nature, I believe that the wetland scientists could give a notion that it's unlikely, but we will definitely look into all of the parameters for that.
We just see the one little wetland down the bottom.
Yeah, down at the backside,
Yeah.
yes.
Right,
And the bigger one on the backside.
yeah.
Okay, so,
Are they gonna have to meet the requirement of 15%, open area?
what's the,
I think so.
15% requirement, I'm sorry, for what?
Open area?
Open area? That's definitely something that we can look into for that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of this, so because there was initially one lot, there are now two. One did not involve subdivision review. Would the board preference, or have a preference on open space of the entire original parcel, or just the two remaining, or so the remaining land and the proposed lot?
I think if you're proposing a new subdivision and the old lot is included in it, you have to look at everything in reference to all three lots,
Okay, thank you.
unless Werner corrects me or something.
No, you're right.
Yeah, okay.
he's hidden back there, but,
Anything that was done in the past 5 years gets
Yeah.
wrapped up in that.
Thank you.
Right,
okay.
right. So I would go through that list within the subdivision regs and just be careful to meet all those
Absolutely.
regulations.
Thank you.
Okay. And I guess our answer is go forth and prosper. We don't have any, it sounds fine to us
Okay.
when we see it, the real thing.
Sounds good to
Until
me.
we look at the details.
Till we look at the details, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
Well, appreciate your time. Thank you.
all righty, so. Ed, why don't you read the finding of facts for my friend over here, since he's right here.
The Kennebunkport Planning Board, findings of fact and decision, the application of Surreal Estate LLC, Herman Lucarelli for 77 Pure Road, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. Following site plan reviews pursuant to the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance held on 21 June, 5 July, and 19 July 2023, and a public hearing held on 5 and 19 July 2023, the Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions and renders the following decision subject to the conditions enumerated below. Findings of fact are as follows. 1, the applicant and owner is Surreal Estate LLC, Herman Lucarelli, with a mailing address of P.O. Box 3097, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. The property has a street address of 77 Pier Road in Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. 3, the property is identified as map 29, block 2, lot 5B on the municipal tax assessor's maps. 4, the applicant demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a warranty deed recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 19170, page 560 on 15 December 2022. 5, per information provided by the applicant, the property comprises about 0.96 acre and spans 2 zones, with 19,952 square feet in the Cape Porpoise Square zone and 21,865 square feet in the Cape Porpoise East zone. The shoreland zone overlays the entire property. In an application dated 17 May 2023, the applicant proposes to park a seasonal movable refreshment trailer on the existing paved area adjacent to the existing restaurant. In the written application, the applicant proposes to serve coffee and gelato from the trailer during mornings through late afternoon. At the board meetings, the applicant discussed the possibility of also offering light refreshments. Service would be provided 2 shifts per day, 6 days per week. The proposed change would be entirely within the Cape Porpoise Square zone, which allows a commercial restaurant as a conditional use. 8, the applicant provided the board with a plan that identified the location of 51 parking spaces on the property, which meets the Kennebunkport land use ordinance requirements for non-residential off-street parking, section 6.9, for the existing 2 restaurants. These 2 restaurants together have 128 seats, requiring 43 parking spaces. At peak, there are currently 15 employees, requiring 8 more. There are no additional parking spaces for the patrons of the coffee/gelato refreshment trailer. Although the trailer has no seating, some parking is required. To meet that demand, the applicant has agreed to operate the food trailer only when at least one of the other 2 restaurants is not open for business. 9, the lot coverage, 64.5%, would be unaffected by this proposal. 10, the applicant provided plans to designate 3 parking spaces near the trailer for employee use only, to reduce traffic flow near the patron service window, and to use safety cones to create a pedestrian-safe area near the trailer during its hours of operation. Additionally, the applicant proposes to serve customers only on the south side of the trailer, away from the Casa 77 restaurant entrance and towards the perimeter of the parking lot. 11, the applicant requested no submission or performance waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance. 12, pursuant to the requirements of Article 1010A of the Land Use Ordinance, the Planning Board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes a negative ruling on one or more of the following identified findings which would otherwise compel denial. And there are no negative rulings that were found. When the proposed development will be located within the shoreland zone or resource protection zone, in addition to the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance, Article 10, the townwide regulations in Article 6, the performance standards for specific activities and land uses in Article 7, approval of the development will also require that the board makes positive findings based on the information presented. And those findings were also found to be positive. Any negative finding means the application has been denied. There were none. Otherwise, the application is complete. Conclusions. Article 1010A of the Land Use Ordinance mandates that the Planning Board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes one or more identified findings that would compel denial. As noted above, the Board makes no such findings. The site plan application identified above is hereby approved. Conditions of approval. 1, the applicant shall operate the food trailer only when at least one of the 2 existing restaurants is not open for business. 2, the applicant, pursuant to 1012E, shall notify the Planning Board prior to the transfer of rights to construct an approved project. 3, the applicant must record a copy of this decision and provide proof of that recordation in the York County Registry of Deeds before any permits may issue or before any construction activity may commence. 4, the applicant shall comply with all terms and conditions of the Town of Kennebunkport ordinances. Dated 19 July 2023. We good? Yep. All right,
Okay.
that's it.
Well, I move that is approved as read.
I'll second that.
Approved.
Approve.
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 Okay, so let's get it all signed and maybe even notarized?
Seemed like since you were kind enough to provide a modified one last week, I could anticipate in that same manner.
Larry, you have one?
Step ahead
Yep,
of
I got one too, yep.
No, just following your lead, that's all.
You know, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Okay, Mike, there you go. And then is that over to the notary to be signed? Or sealed, delivered?
I don't know.
Shall we go on to 8:45?
You mind? You don't have your stamp.
April is our normal notary, so I don't know that we have one.
She's never stamped, so.
So
I can
April,
come get it.
April normally does that.
Liability of me rolling around on a chair?
I'm like, I don't want to see, I don't want any part of it, Mike.
So, okay, so we don't have a notary here tonight then.
No, she's never stamped with her. So we'll get these notarized tomorrow, and then we'll get a copy to you, Hermione.
All right, good, thank you.
Excellent, thank you so
And good luck.
All right, now,
Never mind.
we have
Best
one more.
Best wishes.
We have one more. Larry,
So this is the finding of facts for 845 Kings Highway. So this is the Kennebunkport Planning Board finding of fact and decision application of the Goose Rocks Beach Land Trust for 845 Kings Highway. Following site plan reviews pursuant to the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance held on the 5th of July 2023 and 19th of July 2023, and a public hearing held on the 19th of July 2023, the Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions and renders the following decisions subject to the conditions enumerated below. Findings of fact are as follows. The owner of record and applicant is Goose Rocks Beach Land Trust with mailing address of 5 Mangs Drive, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, 01545. In a letter dated March 8th, 2022, owner of record authorized Peterson Design Group to act as agent in this matter. Address of agent is 5 Nassau Court, Suite 5, Kennebunk, Maine, 04043. The property has a street address of 845 Kings Highway, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. The property is identified as map 34, block 1, lot 5 on the municipal tax assessor's maps. The property is located in the Goose Rocks and shoreland zones. The property is located entirely within the 250-foot shoreland setback dimension. Owner demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a quitclaim deed for the property recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 17725, pages 285, including attached Exhibit A on June 4th, 2018. Applicant provided the MDEP permit by rule for minor expansions in coastal sand dunes. The existing residential property consists of 2 buildings, a house, and a separate garage, neither of which conforms to setback dimension. The property comprises approximately 0.15 acres at 6,545 square feet per information provided by agent, and is therefore nonconforming since it is less than 40,000 square feet. The lot coverage also exceeds 20%, which is another source of nonconformity. In an application dated June 14th, 2023, applicant proposes to demolish the existing garage and rebuild a new garage, repositioned 2 feet to the east of the existing garage. The exterior footprint of both existing and proposed garage is 15.33 feet by 22.25 feet. Though the new garage will still be non-conforming due to its position within the required 20-foot setback dimension from Kings Highway and the required 15-foot setback dimension from the west property line, the location of the new garage will make it less non-conforming by increasing the distance from the west property line. The location of the new garage also will preserve an existing parking space on Kings Highway. Under section 8.3.B.1, which is expansion of non-conforming structures of the land use ordinance, applicant proposes to expand both volume and interior square footage, floor area of the new garage structure while maintaining overall lot coverage. The proposed expanded area and volume both remain within the maximum allowable expansions of 30% each. The total existing interior surface area of the existing garage building is 457.9 square feet, including a finished second floor. The proposed interior surface area will be 590.09 square feet, an increase of 28.9%, including a finished second floor. The total existing interior volume is 4,934.89 cubic feet, and the proposed interior volume will be 6,287.4 cubic feet, an increase of 27.4%. The existing lot coverage is, and the proposed lot coverage will be 24.54%. The property is connected to public sewer and public water supply. Applicant requested no submission or performance waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance. Because this property is entirely within the shoreland zone, owner agrees to avoid use of synthetic artificial fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides on lawns and to maintain provisions intended to minimize bird strikes on windows. Pursuant to the requirements of Article 10.10.a of the Land Use Ordinance, Guidelines for Decisions, the Planning Board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes a negative ruling on one or more of the following identified findings, which would otherwise compel denial. The proposed use meets the definition or specific requirements set forth in the Land Use Ordinance and will be in compliance with applicable state or federal law, finding yes. The proposed use will not create fire safety hazards and will provide adequate access to the site or to the buildings on the site for emergency vehicles, finding yes. The proposed exterior lighting will not create hazards to motorists traveling on adjacent public streets and is adequate for the safety of occupants or users of the site and will not damage the value and diminish the usability of adjacent properties, finding yes. The provisions for buffers and on-site landscaping provide for adequate protection to neighboring properties from detrimental features of the development, finding yes. The proposed use will not have a significant detrimental effect on the use and peaceful enjoyment of abutting property as a result of noise, vibrations, fumes, odor, dust, glare, or other cause, finding yes. The provisions for vehicular loading and unloading and parking and for vehicular and pedestrian circulation on the site and onto adjacent public streets will not create hazards to safety, finding yes. The proposed use will not have a significant detrimental effect on the value of adjacent properties, which could be avoided by a reasonable modification of the plan, finding yes. Comment, the architectural style of the proposed new two-story garage compares well to others in the immediate neighborhood. The design of the site will not result in significant flood hazards or flood damage and is in conformance with applicable flood hazard protection requirements, finding yes. Adequate provision has been made for disposal of wastewater or solid waste and for the prevention of ground or surface water contamination, finding yes. Comment, it's on the public sewer. Adequate provision is made to control erosion or sedimentation, yes. Comment, erosion control measures will be provided in due course as a part of the building permit process. Adequate provision has been made to handle stormwater runoff or other drainage problems on the site, finding yes. The proposed water supply will meet the demands of the proposed use or for fire protection purposes, finding yes. Comment, it's on public water. Adequate provision has been made for the transportation, storage, and disposal of hazardous substances and materials as defined by state law, finding not applicable. The proposed use will not have an adverse impact on significant scenic vistas or on significant wildlife habitat, which could be avoided by reasonable modification of the plan, finding yes. Comment, owner agrees to maintain provision which minimize bird strikes on windows. The proposed use will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion, finding yes. Existing off-site ways and traffic facilities can safely and conveniently accommodate the increased traffic generated by the development as far away from the development as the effects of the development can be traced with reasonable accuracy, finding not applicable. So, when a proposed development will be located within the shoreland zone or resource protection zone, in addition to the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance, Article 10, the town-wide regulations in Article 6, the performance center for specific activities and land uses in Article 7, approval of the development will also require that the board makes positive findings based on the information presented, that the proposed use will maintain safe and healthful conditions, finding yes. Will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters, finding yes. Odor agrees to avoid use of synthetic artificial pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers on the property. Will adequately provide for disposal of all wastewater, finding yes. Will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or the wildlife habitat, finding yes. Because the property is in an area of significant bird activity, owner has agreed to incorporate measures to reduce bird strikes into the new design. All exterior windows shall utilize such measures like, for example, exterior screens, bird-proof glass etching, visual stripping. Okay, will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters, finding yes. Will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan, finding not applicable. Will avoid problems associated with the floodplain development and use, finding yes. Is in conformance with the performance standards set forth in section 5.6, erosion and sedimentation control of the Kennebunkport land use ordinance, finding yes. Any negative finding by the board means the application has been denied. The application is otherwise complete. Conclusions. Article 10.10.a of the land use ordinance mandates that the planning board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes one or more identified findings that would otherwise compel denial, and as noted above, the board makes no such findings. Decision, the site plan application identified above is hereby approved. Conditions of approval, if any, pursuant to Article 10.11 and 10.12.e. The applicant pursuant to 10.12.e shall notify the planning board prior to the transfer of rights to construct an approved project. Final approval from the town of Kennebunkport for erosion control provisions must be provided before a building permit can be issued for this project. The applicant must record a copy of the decision and provide proof of such recordation in the York County Registry of Deeds before any permits may issue or before any construction activity may commence. The applicant shall comply with all terms and conditions of the town of Kennebunkport ordinances as well as the main DEP approvals. Dated the 19th of July, 2023. So I move to approve the finding of facts.
I would second.
Okay. Ed,
Approve.
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 Okay, so let's get it signed.
Okay.
And
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
okay, so
All in favor?
let's, all in favor for adjourning.
Aye.
Aye.
We're
Aye.
adjourned. Thank you, guys.